Welcome back to America's Commercial Real Estate Show. I'm Michael Bull. Thank you for being with us. This segment is brought to you by Bull Realty Asset and Occupancy Solutions. I can say it's my own company, right? Visit bullrealty.com. Well, today we're talking about the multifamily market. And I thought I'd close the show with some ideas, some opportunities that you might have in the marketplace right now. To just give you a brief background, I've been in commercial real estate for 30 plus years. I started in multifamily, started managing and renovating apartments, and worked for a company that bought them and sold them and operated them, managed, owned a property management company, sold apartments for 15 years. That's all I worked on, and now my company sells apartments and other projects. But I think even though we are where we are in the cycle, there are some opportunities. First, let's look at operations and some tips there. One thing to consider if you're not using it yet is revenue management software. Like the airlines use and the hotels use that kind of automatically adjust where your street rents are. When I managed properties years ago, I would spend some time scoping out my competition, and I knew all the competition for all my apartment deals and where the tenants were going, what the rates were, what their occupancy and availability was, so I could adjust with the marketplace and maximize the rents on my properties. Also, obviously, I was looking at what I had coming available for rent and the stability of each project. But now there's revenue management that can take that and let that happen for you. And you don't have to rely on managers. Another thing I think it's great about revenue management is, your staff will develop relationships with your tenants, and you've got a tenant that's been there a long time. You're a little concerned about raising their rents to street rents or close to street rents, and fear that they might leave. And I think when your staff can look at the resident and say, "Hey, we love you. You're great. We're so glad you're here." But the computer says that you're still under market. You won't find anything cheaper, and we have to do it because the computer says it. So think about that. I even had a fake name back in the day that I used when I called on all these apartment projects to see what their rents were. Another thing to think about in procedures is leasing strategies. How are you generating tenant traffic? Are you utilizing social media? Are you utilizing content marketing? How does your web presence look? Do you have apps in place? What is the process? And test the process for tenants to look at space for your project. Send test tenants in and see how it goes, how the project shows, how the leasing staff handles it. Definitely keep testing that on all your properties. Another area we see opportunities for ownership to improve NOI is in their maintenance and their grounds. How well are you maintaining the properties? We see some properties where they're just not really giving great service on the maintenance and grounds, and the tenants see it. They're telling other tenants whether or not they should rent there, so do not underestimate those items. And I think the last thing I'd say on operations is pay attention to your staff. I mean, that is the contact to your resident. Your income is going to be impacted by the quality of your staff, the training of your staff. So pay close attention to your staff and see if that's an area where you can help them become better at what they do and help your apartment projects. Another idea to think about today is your capital stack, your financing. Obviously, we're in a time frame that we still have great low interest rates, but everyone is saying rates are going to increase. So look at your capital, look at your financing on your projects, think about your long-term and potentially short-term goals if you might want to sell or something, and think about locking in some of these rates as long as you can. Look at when these loans mature, get an early start, and consider on some of your projects if you might want to finance now. Let's look at opportunities for building. As we've heard on our show today from Barbara Denham with Reese, and as we've heard some other economists, and we've heard from financing folks like Tom Walsh, there might be some opportunities for new supply in close-in suburban markets. These little markets and towns that are in suburbia, but maybe they're close in and they have really good opportunities. Maybe they even have some opportunities to build where these areas don't want really apartments, and if you can get in by an existing project, redevelop a new one. So I think there's still some opportunities for new supply in a lot of these markets because the apartment demand is still expected continue to be strong. Another opportunity I think is out there right now that we see is the continued opportunity to buy B properties and maybe C properties, value add opportunities. In a lot of markets around the country. We're headquartered in Atlanta, so we see a lot of opportunities around the Southeast. And I think there's a lot of times where you can come in, and those B and C properties are sometimes harder to manage. So you can come in and look at them and find opportunities to manage them better and improve rents, improve occupancy. Maybe you have some light value add or even some heavy. And there's still some real good opportunities there, so think about that. I think another opportunity in some of these B projects and C projects are the potential to build new on those sites in the next cycle, right? So you buy them now, you operate them and get as good a cash flow as you can with the thought that maybe in the next cycle, now you have a site that you can redevelop with a new project. The last tip I'd give you today is considering selling. I mean, if you have existing projects, if you've seen your rents rise, you've seen your values rise, now you're seeing interest rates increase. You know, you never know what can happen in the economy and the market. Some bad things can happen and change a market overnight. If you could take a nice profit on a property, you know, it might be time to do it. So people like us around the country that have teams who focus on multifamily can look at your project and let you know what it might bring on the marketplace. Look at your missions, your other investments, your other properties, and see if it's the right time. So hope you enjoyed those strategies. If you have any questions or comments, please share them with me. And thanks for listening to the show today or watching us on YouTube around the country. Be sure and catch us next week. Until then, be sure you always lead, learn, and laugh, and join us for America's Commercial Real Estate Show.